So welcome everybody. It's 1 o'clock, so I think we can get started. So thank you for some of you guys that braved the weather. I don't know, so we've been doing this now 3 years, right? So this is my 3rd year. Has anyone been here all 3 years? Mitch is the man. 3 years. Now I'll tell you guys, in the 3 years, how many times has there been a torrential, crazy blizzard storm? 3 for 3. That's like in the high 80%, right? Like that's pretty good. So I was telling everyone before, if you want a really good stock tip, whatever that betting system, Polymath or whatever system is, once I tell you guys, or when Luke tells me when we'll do the Investor Day next year, I will let you know. You hop your house and you put it all on there being a blizzard the day of our Investor Day. How's that? Is that good? So cool. I really sincerely do appreciate you guys making some time to come here. This is one of my favorite times because while many of you unfortunately have to hear me all the time, you don't get to hear the full Mama's team, and it is super cool to hear. I'm going to try to speak as little as possible and have the team share updates. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do, guys, say have your iPhones, your pieces of paper. There's going to be a whole lot we're going to share today. Again, hopefully you enjoyed some food, and everything is important. But I want you to write down 1, 2, and 3 on your notepads. And as the team goes through, I will highlight. If you just leave with only 3 things that I believe are significant, I think that's a win. So you'll write your 1, 2, and 3 on the paper or your iPad or in your abacus, and kind of I'll stop the team just to make sure if you guys don't realize how big it is, I will reinforce one of those 3 big things. Cool? Okay. Chris, you hear me okay? I'm doing okay?
You're doing great, Adam.
Perfect. There you go. That's my boss, Chris. So first slide, obviously the most creative, our forward-looking statements. More of this information, obviously, you can find at our website. So like I said, today I really want it to be all about the team. I'll share a little bit about, hopefully, a bit of grading that I'm sure you do of me on how, the years, look, we've been together for 3 years, how it's going, but then as quickly as possible move into having Chris start off. Chris is on the phone, unfortunately, because of the storm. We'll share some of our updates on all of our commercial activities, what's going on there. Obviously, Lauren's here today to share some. She's already been sharing a lot of the marketing stuff with you guys and the brand building. It really is amazing what we've accomplished already in 3 years. Skip literally makes it all happen. You guys, I know, went on a tour with him today, but, as quickly as Chris could sell it, Skip's got to make it, right? So they have a great partnership going on. And then obviously Anthony will tell us if we make any money at the end. Does that sound like a good plan? Okay. So, quick recap, something I'm so proud of. I told you guys, my son does data analytics, so I had to create for him an equation, obviously, that you guys see on top. But, it all starts with our people. I will tell you we have a board meeting on Thursday. If the board tells me today, this week is my last day, I will not be proud of the revenue. I will not be proud of the profit. I will be proud of the team that we have built and we're continuing to build, because that is everything. Culture is everything. I told you guys that there have been M&A deals that we've gotten pretty close on, and I pulled the plug because I didn't think the culture was the right fit. Culture is everything. The amazing work that Chris and Lauren have done, you see it. I mean, we're growing literally 4x the category, right? The category is growing roughly 5, we're growing 20. Literally, the market share gains we're getting, the new customers we're getting, the new items we're getting in, the velocities that are accelerating. I am so proud of what the team has been able to do to build our brand in stores. Third, I mentioned to you all the work Skip's doing, literally foundational work, building the people, building the equipment, CapEx, the strategy has just been off the charts. You're seeing it in the new technology. You guys just went on the tour, whether it be the mapping process, which increases shelf life, the automation, stripping machine, all of those things. Obviously, that comes all together. You know, I was just telling George just before that, you know, my biggest thing, I hope you say, you know, about Adam is he tells you what he's going to do and he does what he says. And now, hopefully, there's a 3-year track record of this company telling you exactly what we're going to do, and we do exactly what we said. And obviously, at the end of last year with the acquisition of the Cisco division with Crown One, I hope that is just one more reinforcing mechanism that says, wow, yeah, the guy does it. I'm not sure I'm happy with what he's going to tell me he's going to do, but whatever he does, he says he's going to do, he's going to do it. And the M&A stuff was great. The other thing I will tell you, a bit of an unintended consequence, is that, you know, success begets success. I'm telling you, I get more inbounds every day now because of the deals that we have done already, right? Between Creative Salads and Olive Branch, Chef Inspirational, Crown One. I'm telling you, I don't have to make a lot of outbound phone calls. It's coming in here, and that's great. And we're building that pipeline that I feel really good about. And I will tell you, I'm not just thinking about the next deal we're doing. I literally have a pipeline of not the deal next time, but the deal 2 times from now. That's how we're thinking about M&A. This is a multi-year process. And then all of that equals into what hopefully you guys see as a more profitable business. Gross margin is increasing. We're managing SG&A extraordinarily well. Net income's increasing, EBITDA. So the top line's growing and the profit is growing. I don't need to share with you guys because you guys know it better than I do. It is way better to ride a wave than create your own. And the most wonderful thing is this is a category you absolutely want to be. I've said this before. You absolutely decide if, you know, Adam and this leadership team is where you want to place your bets. It is absolutely your decision that says, maybe these guys are okay, but I just don't like their strategy. Those 2 are absolutely your decision. The third one around, is this the category you want to be in? I'm sorry, that is not your decision. It is happening month after month. Nielsen, IRI, spins, you pick any data you want to see. The deli is absolutely where you want to be. And it's crazy. You're seeing it now. The data just came out last week for, you know, the next month. Literally, units are growing faster than dollars. I'm going to go slower for you guys. Units are growing faster than dollars. That does not happen in the food space. And it's just a wonderful thing to see. We're just getting more and more penetration. Our retailers are adding more and more shelf space. This is where you want to be. And right or wrong, I think we're the only publicly traded deli company in America. I think the last one for me, you know, I hope you're bored. I hope this is boring for you because all he does is say the same thing over and over and over again. Our strategy does not change. Our strategy is only getting reinforced. 4 C's, cost, controls, culture, and catapult. The cost stuff, you know, obviously we're all running, but Skip is driving us. You're seeing higher and higher gross margins. That allows us to keep reinvesting in more and more equipment. Again, you guys saw when you took your tours, the additional space. We pretty much just doubled our manufacturing footprint in New Jersey. We got to build that out. That's the strategy that Skip has been putting together with his team. Doing that. Obviously, the controls, so important. I know you're supposed to love all your children equally. Controls is the one I just love a little more equally. Because if you don't have controls in place, couldn't care less what your costs are and even what your culture is if you're just out of control. So that is so important for me. One of the first things we told you when we made the Crown One acquisition, the biggest thing we had to do, it's great, they were already on an ERP system. That's a really good thing. Did not have that luxury with Creative Salads. But we had to move them on to NetSuite. And in the first half of the year, we will move that. It's going great. John's doing an amazing job in leading our information technology. And we're doing great things. But again, What gets measured gets improved, and if I don't have the data, I can't measure it. The culture stuff's awesome, the work Abby's doing. Super proud of particularly the Crown One acquisition and bringing them on. We're one team. You could ask Skip for more color, but I am super proud of how the Crown team is not just coming in, but like they're eager. They are really excited and are really happy about being part of this team. And then all the work that Chris and Lauren are going to talk about Catapult. I will tell you, there's lots of things I worry about at night. I haven't slept in 3.5 years. Top line's not one of them for me. I know we're going to do great things in a very measured way. Chris, happy for you to take the lead here.
All right. Well, thank you, and thanks for handing over the reins. I'm really excited to talk to this group about our Fiscal 27 strategic sales initiatives. It's really built on our success, and the strategy we had in play in 26 has given us a great foundation for going forward. So really excited about what this year has to hold, as well as when you think about 3 to 5 years ahead, which is where we're really trying to have our mentality as a sales team today, is thinking even beyond the year that we're starting and getting into and getting further and further out in our thought process. But the slide that you have in front of you should be Fiscal 27 strategic sales initiatives. And there's 5 basic pillars on here. None of them should be a big surprise, but they are an evolution from where we were in 26. So the first one is strategic multi-item selling approach. How we sell is very, very important. And one thing that Adam and I spoke about over a year ago now when we first talked was, selling isn't about order taking, selling is about selling. And our approach to selling is evolving even more into portfolio packages versus single items. Going to our customers in a strategic manner and being a great customer partner. And I'm going to talk about that on some of the ensuing slides. About what we're doing related to becoming a strategic partner versus just a supplier, which is very, very important to our future and our growth. Second on here is expand average items per existing customer. This is our KPI that we live by. For 27, we're looking for a net +2 SKUs or +2 items in each one of our top 10 accounts, leveraging both our Bayshore portfolio into legacy accounts and vice versa. There's still a lot of products, even within our legacy business, that have opportunities across our legacy customers for us to grow our actual SKU count. And combined with the product innovation and working with Lauren and the team there and all the great work they do at bringing new products into play for us. Third is drive our ACV growth into underpenetrated regions. And I would also add underpenetrated channels of business. So it's expanding our distribution footprint across channels and geographies. When I look at Fiscal 26, the white space that I see from a channel perspective was really the mass channel. When you think about Walmart, Target, and where the consumer spends a lot of their food dollar today, that we were very, very underrepresented. So in some of the ensuing slides, I'll show you where we've had some success or built some foundation for launching in Fiscal 27 to improve in that channel, while also continuing to grow across the broad spectrum of channels, from C-store to the grocery channel to each and every channel that we deal with today. Club channel, incredibly important to us as well. 2 big things should stand out on this slide. First of all, and framed really boldly here, is no antibiotics ever chicken, NAE chicken. This is a strategy evolution and change as we continue down the path of being very committed and increasingly committed to grandma quality. What would grandma want to feed her grandkids? And it is certainly NAE is the gold standard when it comes to chicken. It's incredibly important today as in the increasing health conscious consumers that we have, people who are concerned about antibiotic resistance, just concerned about being anything that we do additive versus natural in the food process. So this seemed like a no-brainer type of decision to be able to go this direction and provide it even for our retailers that have existing business with us that haven't asked for NAE, but it's an opportunity for us to then explain another step, another reason why our product is differentiated from any potential competition that might be in the market. We already have the best tasting. We already have the most authentic flame grilled product out there. We already beat everybody in cuttings. And now we add on another layer of, honestly, protection and authenticity into being grandma quality. And the last one on this slide is major account wins and velocity growth. We have to continue to win accounts and grow our velocity. We have built a tremendous base. When you think about the added shelf space that I'm going to cover in some slides coming up relative to Walmart, Target, already talked about the mass channel, but also Food Lion, a major grocery retailer in the Southeast, amongst others. So there's still accounts out there. They're getting fewer as we continue to latch into more and more, but there's still some big accounts out there that we deserve to be in, and we are going to earn the right to be there in fiscal 27. Next slide, slide number 10.
Just one second. Guys, remember I said 3 things. That is one that you should be writing down on a piece of paper. Like Chris just mentioned, this is a moat. This creates a moat against other players that are not doing that today. So it makes the job easier for Chris as he's selling in to differentiate ourselves. So this is a really big deal that again, think about, we could talk more about, but that is a big differentiator for us. Sorry, Chris. Next slide.
No worries. I'm used to it, Adam. So, next slide. We're executing our plan, and I put 2 big, bold statements on here. Everybody's going to recognize these retailers. 2 just incredible retailers, very different approaches to the business, but we've had some great success with. So Costco, number 1. I'll go into some detail on the next slide, but amazing things are happening in Costco. And we've obtained our first everyday item status that's been secured in the Northeast for Costco, and it's really where all our business started with them to begin with. I'll walk you through that evolution and as well as why it's so important as we get to the next slide. But also want to call out Walmart. Walmart's another just great example of our strategy in play. 8 new items launching in the largest retailer in America. I just want to put it in perspective real quick. It's 8 new items against an existing 1. This is massive for us, and I'll go through how that came to be. One of the 8 has already launched this quarter, and then 7 additional items that will be launching are all branded. I'll go into some detail on that as well. And I probably should celebrate the branded part more, but I know I got a slide on it, so I'll talk to that in a moment. We can go ahead and go to the next slide, Adam, slide 11. Customer success and channel diversification. And it's here that I can kind of explain the preceding slide a little bit more detail. I talked about diversification into different channels and covering a broader geography across the country. It's also very, very important to our strategy to diversify our products and as well as our channels. But first of all, our sales mix. The sales mix needs to mirror the U.S. food budget, not too heavy in any one channel. And we want to be where the consumers are. So growing mass to a more appropriate size while continuing our grocery retail remaining a very key portion of our mix. Our acquisition of Crown One had no club revenue, did have some grocery revenue, and did have some specialty discounter type of revenue in there as well that helps us, again, broaden. I know I'm playing club down a little bit from a mix standpoint. That is not to say we're not growing the club business. We'll continue to grow it. We just want everything to be proportional. You've heard some of our Costco success. Sam's continues to be a major player for us, as well as BJ's. So we're incredibly well positioned in the club channel. our fiscal 27 strategic goal of 2 additional items in top 10 accounts, that is coming off of some major wins that we already have in place, that it's already catapulting us and setting up our 2027. It starts with Walmart. 8 new SKUs launching in up to 2,000 stores. In complete transparency, some SKUs will be in close to 2,000, some are more than 2,000. It just has to do with the actual planograms in these individual stores. But 8 new SKUs, 7 of those are branded. Target 2 SKUs that we'll be launching this year. The first one in the first 750 stores will be in this quarter. We'll be following in just a few months with the second one, and the stores ramp up to, again, approximately 2,000 stores there. Food Lion, 5 SKUs we launched here in Q4 as we made the corner into fiscal 27, and we'll be expanding out to approximately 1,200 stores there in the Southeast. Very excited with that. Costco. I have to dive into that a little bit. We've got the little mission accomplished things on here, but achieving everyday status has been an evolution over time. And I think the Costco picture really explains our approach and our sales culture at Mama's and how we go forward. We're not just Costco, but all of our major accounts. But if you look back in fiscal 2023, we were doing about $500,000 in sales, one product and in one region only of Costco. If you fast forward a bit to fiscal 25, we did $10 million in Costco sales with active rotations across the country. Followed in fiscal 26, the year we just completed, we started the year in Q1 with our first digital MDM, and lo and behold, $10 million, we had already met or essentially met what we had done in fiscal 25 after one quarter in fiscal 26. Continued rotations through the year, but culminated at the end of the year in Q4 with our first print MDM, which is really that is the trophy when you think about in Costco as far as moving volume. That exceeded north of $14 million of business for us in that quarter as well. So an exciting year in Costco. What does all that lead up to? That leads up to the announcement here in the beginning of the new year of achieving everyday item status in the Northeast region. Again, where it all started. Our expectation will be the domino effect on everyday item status, but that's where we are today. That was our immediate win and very, very exciting to us, and allows us to have this steady state Costco business. And I'm going to take just a second. I want to call out my partner in Skip and the operations team. This happened because we delivered, and we delivered in very challenging situations. To suddenly do in a quarter $10 million or $14 million of new business, it's not an easy thing to achieve and do it without a hitch. And what I can tell you is from our customer, there were no hitches. So that builds trust, and that constant trust building over the years and through an increasing amounts of trust that they put in us allows us to continue to advance the business. And that's the culture we want to continue to promote. I'm excited about, if you look over on the right, our new customers across channels in 26, we really cover them all. When you think about C-store, the grocery channel, the mass channel, the discounter channel was covered in new customers, as well as just a great number of customers that represent large volume for us across the board. And so that'll take me to the next slide, slide 12. I started to talk about this at the beginning of the customer success slide, but this is our category diversification and branded product growth. It's as important to diversify our products as it is our channels that we're in. And so some great successes to talk about here. We are planning a balanced category mix that is optimal for trim utilization and does give us reduced commodity market exposure. What does that mean? Chicken trim, how does that affect us? If you look over on the right, chicken bottoms and trim utilization, usage of our chicken bottoms. So let me stop there real quick. the chicken bottom. I'm sure Adam has explained this because he talks about it to everybody, right? This is, as we make our beautiful grilled chicken breast, there is a bottom piece to that. It's every bit as great a quality as the chicken breast itself, but it's going to be in varying sizes and form, and it's not that pretty same size chicken breast that we sell and we flame grill. So there needs to be other products made from it. Our use of those bottoms will more than double in fiscal 27. The utilization of our shredding capabilities that came with Bayshore is going to be part of that win, along with our panini category. If you haven't seen our paninis, certainly if you're in the Southeast, make sure you pop into Publix. We've got a new assortment of paninis in there. These are incredible. They're great to reheat at home. They're just a phenomenal item. They're growing at a rate of over 80%. And the primary ingredient in most of these is chicken trim. Our branded chicken meatball sleeves have received placement in our top tier customers. And I've already referred to Walmart, but this is where this gets really big, right? Chicken trim going into the production of a stuffed cheese chicken meatball is one of the 7 branded items that are going across the country in Walmart. Also, one of the branded items that's going to go into Target this year as well. It's one of the 5 branded additions in Food Lion. If we think about Publix, one of our great partners and retail partners out there, we've got the panini in there, and as part of the 6 branded additions that have occurred in Publix as we enter this year, along with the part of the branded additions in Ingles and Weiss, a couple of other great customers of ours. I could go on and on. These are the top branding wins for us. And I think a big note to take home as well is we're targeting 100% increase in branded sales in fiscal 27. As we are known and the consumer recognizes us across the country, it makes us even more enticing to our customers and to open doors into some of those customers we haven't gotten into yet. So exciting year ahead of us, built on a lot of successes. Let's go to talk about trade and trade promotion investments real quick. That's the next slide, slide number 13. Our trade investment strategy is, first of all, we don't want to be a discount item. So I want to emphasize that. You shouldn't be looking for our products to be at sale prices all of the time or waiting it out because they're on sale so often. We are a premium product and we're proud of that. We're grandma quality. But the place for trade promotion has multiple areas. You see it in the leaning in with Costco to get the national recognition and reach this point of everyday status. But where we're going to spend a lot of our trade this year is focused on new items. You've heard me talk about it throughout the strategy, new SKUs in our top 10 customers, new multiple branded SKUs across the country. Look, the easier part of the sale tends to be the sale itself. Getting the placement, doing all those things. Those are where most companies forget. It's the next part and more critical part is getting that customer addicted to our products, getting it in their mouth, getting trial, and the confidence in knowing once that happens, our customers come back over and over, and they're no longer looking for promotion. They're no longer looking for a deep discount because our product is worth every penny and more what it sells for out in our retailers. An example over to the right, we certainly always do the Publix branded promos. That's really built our name in the Southeast. But the graphic below shows how our business was driven and our case sales were driven following conducting BOGOs with one of our great retailers. And this was on the introduction of our Meals for Ones. And this is the pull that then occurred after the fact. And you see that upward trajectory. So product gets in the consumer's mouth. Consumer loves the product. They bought it for a great discount, but they come back and you know what? I'm going to buy even more and I'm not paying attention to that discounted price. So it's a great way for us to use trade. We're going to lean in very heavily there in fiscal 27. But it will remain a single-digit percentage of our sales. Lauren will go into a lot more about our wide arsenal of marketing type of opportunities when she gets to that point. We do support a lot of sampling events as well. And we can go to the next one because I want to talk about people. People are what make all this happen, or what grows our business. So one thing we talk about a lot on our sales team and in the development of our selling culture is that everything starts with the grandma quality products. We want to be proud of what we're selling. I'm not the sales guy that you can give me a broken pen and I'm going to sell that to you. That's just not how I'm built, and it's not how our team is built. Give us a product that we can be passionate about, that we know, that we feed our own family, and we can speak to that. That's when we can sell product in a big way. And that's where we become the grandma quality service as well as the product itself. And I think about it anecdotally. I'm getting older. Adam reminds me that all the time, makes fun of my white hair, but I'm a grandparent now. I'm not a grandma, I'm a grandpa, but I would never farm out the relationship with my grandchildren to somebody else. I have a relationship with my grandchildren so that I understand their wants, their needs, what it is they're looking for in success in their life. And then I might reach out to, like in our case, from a business perspective, we utilize brokers. We utilize brokers as an addition, as a service piece, and we have some great broker relationships, but it doesn't replace the one-on-one relationship. Just like me as a grandparent, I may hire a tutor, I may hire a coach to help one of my grandkids achieve something in their sport, but I'm not going to hire them to have the relationship. And that's how we marry that up from a sales team. It requires top talent acquisitions, people who understand that. We've made 4 acquisitions in the last 13 or so months. This allows us increased direct customer contact. And what's near and dear as a former retailer is the vertical relationships in our strategic accounts. We get connected at the top, at the strategic level. We want to be there to support and understand our customers' needs and build partnership, and then have those relationships as they funnel down all the way to the individual buyer, which sometimes can be a single category within the deli. There are buyers in some of our customers, all they manage is deli salads. That's it. And we have to have that relationship, but you want to be above that as well to understand how that fits into the total picture. So we can go back to what I mentioned earlier, selling a portfolio versus selling individual items. We are expanding our culinary capabilities in the field. We'll be bringing on a field chef, great experience, retail-facing chef who will work to help do direct innovation, directly understand the food needs and the chef needs and the development needs that are within each of our retailers. It's going to be a great asset as we open up the new year as well. And over to the right, you see a picture of our sales team along with a few of the folks in operations, but that's at a plant. We like the team to understand every aspect of our production, what's going on in the plant, what the plant needs are, and to make sure we're communicating and having a great relationship with our operations team as well. So that's a picture of the team. Don't judge us, but we do follow all QA restrictions and wear the hairnets and all that good stuff when we tour. So that's it in a nutshell, as fast as I could go on our fiscal 27 sales plan. And I think with that, I get to either kick it back to you, Adam, or go ahead and introduce Lauren Sella, our Chief Marketing Officer.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Lauren Sella. I lead marketing for the organization. I'm very excited to be here for our third Investor Day, my third Investor Day as well, and talk to you about our plans for next year. So as we think about brand building, we're really focusing on both the consumers and the retailers to drive long-term growth. Can everyone hear me okay on the line?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. From a consumer perspective, our priorities are awareness, connection, and loyalty. We recently fielded a survey to 575 participants on their beliefs about the prepared food category. And one of the things, we learned a lot of great things. One of the things that we learned is the number one trial generator is brand I trust, which really supports our increase in marketing investment going forward, and as we've been doing it in the past. Our storytelling leads into authenticity and what you've heard us refer to as grandma quality. We're continuing to build upon our customer relationship management database to really drive our re-engagement with consumers. And we're also activating more earned media to build upon our paid media channels. From a retailer perspective, we're positioning ourselves as a strategic deli partner, bringing insights and innovation to the retailer to help them with their full meal solution. We're also expanding our presence through trade show participation, advertising, and thought leadership, and we're supporting our innovations with a full portfolio of activation, as Chris alluded to, things such as trade marketing, trade promotions, in-store demos, and retail media, which I'll talk about a little bit more. Just recapping our activation and some of the highlights from last year. From a consumer activation perspective, we added in additional marketing activations last year. We started doing some micro-influencer activations really to support key in-store activities such as our Costco MVM or our Publix launch, as well as brand partnerships. Adam mentioned earlier during our lunch how we did a couple partnerships with another brand in the space, Brooklyn Bread, and then we also brought in Mike's Hot Honey, and those are things that we're going to be continuing to do. We doubled our email list, and we added 8,000 new SMS subscribers, which is a really strong re-engagement platform for us, and it's a great own channel for us, a way for us to communicate to consumers as we have new news and to engage them also on D2C activities. And then we improved our site health to 96%, which I was told is more than best in class. I'm really excited about that and really strengthening our digital ecosystem. From a B2B perspective, we optimized our strategy and really focused on prioritizing our trade show presence to the most impactful ones. We generated over 100 new leads and then also received new inbound retailer interest through B2B advertising, which we started for the first time last year and will be continuing. Then moving over from the portfolio innovation perspective, we launched Mama's Creations branded items into Publix and BJ's, and we expanded Mama Mancini's with our paninis and Meals for One, increasing both the day parts and the usage occasions for our brand. And then finally, from a retail media perspective, we doubled our retail media investment last year. We added 4 new retailers, and we drove significant ROAS at about $8, I think a little bit over $8. We see significant performance on the retail media platforms, particularly as we have these Costco rotations. A lot of consumers are purchasing their Costco items on Instacart, so we make sure that we're present on there, both from a search perspective. We also do display advertising, video advertising, and we have good relationships with Instacart. And so we're continuing to expand and see different ways that we can build upon that relationship. Chris mentioned from a R&D innovation approach, we're making sure that our innovation is really supporting margin health, not only top line expansion. So Chris already talked a lot about the chicken trimming, but it is a key priority for us from an innovation perspective. It allows us to have greater control over our yield and our cost. And we affectionately call our chicken bottoms our artisan cut. products. They really are, I mean, the folks in the room tried some of the products here, the Costco cheese stuffed chicken meatballs. They really are premium items that we're excited to bring to consumers. And then as Chris already mentioned, we're launching multiple new Walmart items that use these artisan cut pieces. And this really allows us to innovate across multiple product categories. So the ground chicken for meatballs, we have the cheese stuffed chicken, but there are a lot of other ideas in the pipeline. Chris mentioned how we're focusing not only on this year, but 3 to 5 years out. So we're constantly building our flavor bank. Folks in the room met Chef Min, and he's always building out new product ideas in the areas that we're focusing on. And then our paninis also use the trim, and then as well as our meals for one. So we're leveraging this innovation across a number of different platforms. We know that these are categories that are growing for retailers and consumers, things like handhelds. Obviously, chicken is a very strong and growing protein. So it's exciting to be able to bring a lot of innovation in this space that benefits consumers, benefits the retailers, and also helps us as well. And then finally, as we look at fiscal 27, our goal is to increase our marketing investments by 50%. And really, as we look at a new item launch, we look at it through three phases across the full shopper journey. First is sticking in their mind, building awareness. From the retailer perspective, we're attending trade shows, we're submitting ourselves for awards. I can't tell you what, but there may be an award at some time in the future that gets announced. It's on embargo now. We're also, as I mentioned, we started doing B2B advertising, which has proven very successful for us. There are a couple instances where retailers have seen our ads and have reached out proactively to our sales team. It's creating FOMO, so that's great. And then, ensuring that we have the right selling tools. Again, folks in the room, you see our brochure, which we update on an annual basis. And then from a consumer perspective, I look at it, as they're living their life. So things like influencer partnerships, digital social ads, earned media, which is something I mentioned earlier that we're re-engaging in. We are going to be doing more PR this year than we have in the past year, and then product placement as well. So that's something that's always fun. We work with an agency that you can find us in different game shows or movies or TV shows. So just a way to drive awareness of our brand. And then when the consumer is in the shopper mindset, the retail media, content and search, and Instacart, as I mentioned. And then once we're in store, ensuring that we're getting in their cart through all of the trade promotion that Chris and his team is doing. From a marketing perspective, we're partnering up with the sales team, ensuring that, we know when we are on ad and supplementing that we have the right demos. Demos are a big part of our Costco relationship. In-store displays, that's something we're working on enhancing and testing in the near future, even our own displays. Point of sale, Adam's parents are always giving him also the circulars from Publix every week, every time we appear. So we always know we did our job when we see the circular on his desk. And then finally, after they purchase, driving that advocacy and customer retention. One of the things we started in the last year and a half is putting QR codes on some of our packs. These are customized QR codes, and when you scan the pack, it will take you to a specific landing page. So that allows us to do things like on our Costco packs, we offer consumers the opportunity to get a coupon for repeat purchase to drive second purchase of the item, as well as our email marketing. I mentioned that we doubled our list in the last year. It's something that we started the SMS, which allows us also to geo-target. So the SMS really came out of some digital advertising that we did for in the Publix location. So when we have a promotion, at Publix, we'll send an SMS, or when we have a new rotation with Costco, we can send people text messages and emails. So really driving that loyalty. So that's really our full portfolio. Partner, obviously, with Chris and his team and Skip from an operations team to ensure that we're always working effectively and we're all connected on all elements of this, because all of us have to be part of this success to make it work. Thank you. And now turning it over to Skip.
Yep. Okay, thanks everybody. Skip Tappan, COO for Mama's Creations, and I was doing a head count from the back of the room, and it doesn't seem like we lost anybody on the tour, so that's a good sign. You all remember hearing Adam share over the last couple of years, one plant, 2 locations. So as of September 2nd of last year, we're 1 plant, 3 locations, and maybe in another few months, and a few months after that, that number will continue to grow. But some of this might be a little bit of a review for Farmingdale, because in the summer of 2024 is when there was a large capital expansion in the Farmingdale facility just a couple of months before I joined, and basically took the existing facility and reconfigured it and added about 10,000 square foot of usable space. That was the addition of grills and our spiral blast freezer, nitrogen blast freezer, and additional trimming capability and tumbling. And so this was just a real huge unlock for increasing capacity in a fixed footprint of the operation. One of the other things that started last year and has really solidified this year is the use of contracts for our commodities and our proteins, more contracted pricing, both for beef and our chicken. And in this particular case, with the addition of Bayshore, we were able to look at our chicken purchases as one company instead of two different separate organizations, and really put a much higher percentage into contracted pricing for our chicken to not only be able to have better visibility into what our commodities were going to be, but also for better cost control. The trimming and tumbling, which you all have heard, some of you have heard before, is one of the biggest unlocks for us. The more that we can trim chicken ourselves and tumble it and the marinade ourselves, so it's one of the biggest gross margin unlocks that we have. And we're going to more than triple or double to triple what we have done in prior years with the addition of Bayshore when we look at everything collectively. So it really is the slides that you saw from Chris earlier, where he talked about the artisan cut chicken, not chicken bottoms, but artisan cut chicken, as Florence said. I know. I actually came up with artisan cut. It took a year for it to stick, but that's good. But anyway, that is really the big unlock, because when we trim the chicken and we cut the perfect portion breast out of it, the artisan cut piece, if we don't use it, then obviously it's just a waste. And the more we transform that into strips or meatballs or shredded chicken or diced chicken, then we have this better balance of portion cut chicken as well as the remainder chicken that we use in our other items. So the fact that we have a sales plan linked to the marketing plan, linked to our purchasing plan, linked to our operating plan, really makes us a much better balance, and why we can able to fully realize the gains that come from that. All 3 plants, I'm going to mention this one on this one, but all 3 plants have a slightly different shift schedule, but none of them are running 24/7 yet. So on one of the tours, I mentioned the difference of staffed capacity and bolted down capacity. You all have heard Adam share that before. If the equipment is on the ground, it's bolted down. If it's not running, then it's not staffed. So if we think about where we're going to try to get better asset utilization, it is really making sure that when we have assets, they're running, they're running efficiently. And we have some room in our schedules during the week as well as weekends to be able to continue to increase our throughput and our capacities through just our bolted down capacity. That doesn't mean that we're not going to focus on efficiency improvement. It doesn't mean that we're not going to also have some capital purchases in the future, but we really want to sweat our assets to get the best return on invested capital. Also, in the other facilities, you'll see this too, but partnering with Bayshore, when we added Bayshore, there was multiple benefits that came from that, aside from the customers, the equipment capability of the people. But the fact that we truly can operate as 1 plant, 3 locations means that we started within the first month of moving some items into Bayshore out of East Rutherford here, just to help us prepare for that Costco MVM build. And the fact that we had the right integration process just really made it much easier for us to be able to do that. And we're now going to add more and more customers to the Bayshore business from our legacy business as well. And the one thing that is also that Farmingdale has piloted Some of the folks there have been amazing operators, but they've not gotten into as much of the data analytics. But in the last year or so, this team has actually taught themselves in a lot of cases how to do much deeper data analytics and have gotten so good at that it's actually piloting some of this work and role modeling it with our other sites. So we really are operating much more seamlessly than we have in the past, and it's great that the Farmingdale facility has been able to make such a transformation, sort of leading the way for the others. East Rutherford, which you all just went through, there's a 19,000 square foot warehouse attached to the side of it. Both tour groups got to hear the fact that we're partnering with an industrial engineering firm that is not only looking at a physical footprint and a physical space, but the way product flows throughout the facility. So again, we're trying to make sure that we're as efficient as we can be before spending any capital to ensure we're getting everything out of our assets. And then we use that space. We'll use that space for extra refrigeration and freezing, for extra production manufacturing, material flow, to really unlock what doubling the size of this facility will actually be able to provide us. You saw some of the examples of prior investments in technology with the MAP technology, modified atmosphere packaging. We have more on the way. And one of the things that has also become obvious with the acquisition of the Bayshore business, which is primarily refrigerated. I'll talk to the build-to-stock model in a second, which we did on the floor. But as much as we've used frozen as our ability to be able to build a stock, now we need to be focusing even more on greater shelf life on fresh items so we can still maintain that build-to-stock model, but on refrigerated items and not just have it be frozen. Same examples of shift schedule. Yes, they're running 5 days a week, sometimes 6, 2 to 2.5 shifts, but we have schedule optimization in this facility that will also allow us to get more out of the existing assets. The one thing that East Rutherford is doing also for us as our pilot, you all heard about the 3PL facility that we're using 30 minutes from here. We are limited to the size of refrigerated and frozen storage we can have on site, but we don't want to let that be a constraint to our growth. So we have turned to, starting last June, we turned to this 3PL facility, Lineage, that has been a great partner with us for our first really true 3PL experience. And we see that type of engagement with outside third-party partners as something that will help us continue to grow when we have constraints on our existing footprint. Bayshore, and I think you'll see a video right after this, since we all couldn't be in Bayshore, you'll see a couple of minute video about that. But this facility is double the size and square footage of our Farmingdale and our legacy East Rutherford facility. It'll be about the same after we build out this space, but it is a great facility. There was a large capital investment into the facility prior to our acquisition, and we'll talk about integration here in a minute. But one of the things that they have is that our Farmingdale facility can only trim so much chicken from a physical space. The size of the Bayshore facility is more than double that. So when we actually show the amount of chicken that we're going to trim in this next year, 2/3 of that is going to be done at the Bayshore facility, and 2/3 will be consumed at Farmingdale and over here at East Rutherford. So again, being able to really truly operate as one plant with 3 locations, it's just really it's going into all aspects of it, from our raw and packed material purchasing to our processing and to our finished goods. I think the other thing is that on the last statement, efficiently onboarding as a part of one plant, 3 location strategy. As I mentioned, in the first month, we were moving items between our plants within the first month of September. We did a couple of more items in October and November. And now when we work with Chris's team and looking at what the future forecast is for this year and next, we want Chris to be able to sell with unconstrained demand so that the production operations is not limiting what they do. That requires his crystal ball to be a little more clear and for us to be able to develop and have improved throughput and capability that hasn't existed in the past, that we're really leveraging this integration to help with. Okay. Game time. And I've not seen this video, so I'm hoping to use some good AI to spruce me up a little bit.
Okay, here goes nothing.
Welcome to Bayshore, New York. I'm Skip Tappan, CEO for Mama's Creations. I'm excited to show you our latest acquisition, Crownwood Foods. Follow me, and I'll take you through the plant and see what happens here day to day. While you're only seeing one location today here at Bayshore, Bayshore adds tremendous operational capacity to our existing network. We have a saying that says one plant, 3 locations, and you're getting to see a glimpse inside one of them today. Bayshore is a state-of-the-art SQF-certified food manufacturing facility focused on fully cooked, ready-to-eat, wide range of cuisines. Food safety is foundational here at Bayshore, and this discipline is built into our everyday work processes. From an operational perspective, this facility has multiple cooking and packaging solutions. That makes it a tremendous asset to our broader network. What really makes a difference here is the team. There's deep experience, strong leadership, and a true sense of ownership. At the end of the day, this is about delivering high-quality, ready-to-eat food solutions that our partners can rely on. We're super proud of what's been built here. Thank you for touring the Bayshore facility. So we just wanted to try to give you a glimpse, since you couldn't be there, as to what the Bayshore facility is like. It really is a great facility. It has a little more elbow room than what we have here at East Rutherford, but again, that's one of the reasons why we grabbed the attached space to the building so we can really spread out and operate more efficiently. To really talk about the acquisition and integration on this, and I'll highlight on this top right slide here, or sort of the slide in a minute. I think most of you are familiar with what the deal overview was for when it got announced and what the acquisition cost was. The facility is 42,000 square feet. Revenue is $56 million, and Chris, of course, will make it go higher than that. We added 200 employees roughly to the team, and it's only 10 miles from Farmingdale. So that, a couple of things that I want to highlight on there. Number one, Adam has shared this before, but when we acquired the business, we acquired great talent and great people. And recently, just a couple of weeks ago, we announced to the company a dozen or more, 15 different promotions and leadership changes that occurred across all 3 locations. And this is the first time in my career ever that we've had this amount of a percentage of leadership move into new roles at the same time, where we have a critical mass really starting out the journey together. So they're almost like their own sort of cohort. We had individual one-to-ones with everyone, but we've moved to an enterprise level sort of way we do HR, procurement, planning, finance, obviously, maintenance, and it's really looking at it as a company instead of individual locations. So not only did the talent that we acquired with Bayshore unlock or provide, gave us the ability to help unlock some of that enterprise level capability, we had folks that are in existing businesses that were chomping at the bit and raising their hand and say, I want to do more as well. It's a great opportunity for us. It was a really big celebration moment for us as a company. Having Bayshore and Farmingdale so close together also have allowed us to have single point leadership that could be over multiple locations, people flowing to the work, technical resources, hourly folks. So if we have overtime needs or last minute demands, we can flow to the work. So that proximity has really, really helped. One of the things we did early on out of the gate was integrating 100% of the Bayshore suppliers into the Mama's network. So we sort of got rid of the middleman to be able to operate more efficiently. Next step has been, and we're in process now of using the scale of the 2 sites to be able to find the best combination of suppliers that can service all 3 locations instead of having, individual ones. The NetSuite, you heard about that earlier, but we're going to converting over to NetSuite to be on one single ERP system.
by the middle part of this year. And I already mentioned the organizational changes. The other thing is that the gross margin journey that we're on in Bayshore, we have a legacy glide path that we've delivered in East Rutherford and Farmingdale, and we have increased expectations for this year. And over the balance of this year, we will bring Bayshore into the same sort of gross margin performance as the rest of the business. The revenue strategy, Chris talked a little bit about this earlier, but we are, like the rest of our legacy business, we're looking at exiting lower margin business, in this case, our street business, and replacing that with higher margin branded growth and using that facility's capabilities to help support that. And they're also doing, Chris's team is also doing cross-selling between the Mama's brand and customers and the Crown One brand and customers. We got into some customers with the Crown One business that were not part of the Mama's base and vice versa, so now we're being able to do that cross-selling. The last thing here was around the Crown One integration playbook. This is really using our M&A playbook and using the Crown One integration to help us inform what the next acquisition will look like, things that we missed and how we make improvements on that. On the top right of that slide, really, and I highlighted this when we were on the tour, again, we have methodology and assessments that would say that we could get up to 50% of increased capacity of our existing network without spending capital. That is through schedule optimization. That is through doing good old-fashioned industrial engineering optimization work, process optimization, reconfiguring how our lines are configured. And if we put some modest capital, up to 100%. So when we think about our growth and you do the math, 20% year on year, plus acquisitions, this has us going up several years, still being able to absorb that organic growth and acquisition.
Just to, again, remember I told you three things. First one, you're going to hear this at least 10 more times. First one, obviously, NAE, huge differentiator for us. Two, hopefully you guys were a little happy with Chris's modest wins at Costco and Walmart. This would be my third one. This is huge. The amount of work, and Skip's built his team, Shane, and Carlos, and others that are helping now every day on process improvement. I've given you guys some examples that you say, Adam, this can't be true. You're showing me AI pictures. No, there really is this much opportunity. And the fact that Skip is seeing that with his team and going against that would be number three to me, pretty big on, we could expand just fine with 3 facilities. Great, cool. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Anthony Gruber. I'm the CFO of Mama's. I've been here for about 3 years. I think about 2 years, 2 weeks after Adam joined, I joined the organization as well, and it's been a pretty nice glide path from there. We've been able to accomplish a lot in a short time. We have 3 locations now, which is awesome. One manufacturing facility, but I'd just like to take you through the targets that we have for the upcoming fiscal year 2027. So on the top line, we're looking at double-digit growth. As Adam said, the area of the deli prepared food area is growing about 5%. So right now we're pretty far above that. It's quite nice. We're going to continue, and we do anticipate growing that sales line. The gross profit, we've been growing that and having it grow quarter over quarter, year over year. We'd like to get into the mid to high 20s or lookouts. Some of the ways we're going to do that and some of the ways that Skip talked about was by trimming. So trimming more using those artisanal cuts, Skip's word, I do believe, from a year ago, and putting those into some of our other products. That trimming unlocks a lot of efficiency for us. A lot of cost that we don't have to waste on buying trimmed product that's already been tumbled for us. We get it in-house, and we're able to trim and use that product on some of the things that we had for lunch today, which were like the cheese stuffed chicken meatballs, which are one of my favorites, I must say, and one of my children's favorites as well. Commodity costs, we talked about some of the contracts that we have in place, so we're trying to stabilize our costs across the year. We can see some headwinds from time to time in different commodities, but we also worked with different commodities. When we started the organization, the biggest commodity and probably only commodity that we really looked at was beef. We're now on to chicken, and we're on to vegetables and other things as well. So that kind of controls the costs. And then the one manufacturing facility, 3 different locations as well. So we truly look at all 3 locations, Bayshore, Farmingdale, East Rutherford, as interchangeable, and we can move production from one to the other, depending where we're more efficient. If we have capacity constraints in one, we can move it over to another, and we can use machinery that may be offline or may be more efficient in making the product. So we're confident that we're going to be able to meet those gross profit or gross margin percentages. Operating expenses, G&A. So marketing spend, we're looking at increasing it about 50%, and that's going to be balanced with what type of margin that we're pulling in. If we see the margin is not coming in where we'd like it to be, we're not going to spend as much on marketing. Same thing, which you don't necessarily see on this slide, but we have gross sales, and to get to net sales, we spend dollars on promos. So we may look at that promo and marketing in kind of the same light. If we don't have the dollars to boost that margin and bring it to where we want, basically our levers are to pull back on the promo or the marketing. And if those margins start to come in higher than where we're anticipating, we can also use those levers and start to do a little bit more promo, a little bit more marketing, which will then just facilitate more sales and more brand awareness as we go through the year. Investing in the build-out and continuing investment in the build-out of the middle management. I think Adam has talked about kind of the team that we have built at the top and the leadership team. Very proud of everybody that's come into the organization, and we feel pretty confident in the group leading the organization. This is to round out that next layer of management and make sure that throughout we're kind of picking up the little areas that we can make a difference in, either in margins, in bringing in the right people to get us further along the line, different thought processes. And then on the OpEx side, we're targeting about 20% of sales, and that's without the marketing spend. So, and that's all goes in line with building the management capacities at the middle management level. So building that world-class team, not at just the top level, but it's starting to trickle down. Skip was able to speak, and he talked about the promotions we were able to do internally. Those are not just promotions for the sake of promoting people. It's people's wants to get up to that next level and really putting in the level of work that showed us that they're able to get to that next level and make the company very efficient. Other income, interest, we're going to keep paying down the debt that we have. We have a very small amount of debt. The purchase of Bayshore, we were able to do. We had the line in the bank right behind us the whole time. They offered more money to us than we even wanted to take. But what we were able to do is do a PIPE at that point in time, use those dollars and pay all our debt off. We wound up being in a better cash position and in a better debt position after buying Bayshore than beforehand. Plus now we have a whole new facility and a whole nother round of sales and a customer base that came with it that we had not tapped into in the past, which is 3 wins, I think I mentioned there. It was a pretty good acquisition. Very happy about that. So on the net income side, going from the low single digits to kind of the mid-single digit range as a % of revenue. So basically looking at the levers that we have to control our marketing, our expenses, our promo, and then becoming more efficient in the manufacturing arena. We've made a lot of headway there. We've become more efficient, but there are always a lot of other opportunities ahead of us. We see that year in and year out. They're get smaller over time, but they're still, every time we acquire another organization, we find another bunch of items that we can capitalize on, turn that into dollars, make it more efficient, grow our gross margin, grow the bottom line. And on the adjusted EBITDA side, going from the kind of get into the mid-teens vicinity and keep that going on the way forward as well. We'll be investing in the organization. We do anticipate, and we always look at M&A opportunities. They come through, and I could hear Adam speaking about them in the office next to me all the time. And I always ask him to get a lower price. I bang on the wall a little, and so sorry, you got to take another $1 million off of that price, and we'll get that company for a good level. We were able to really grow the organization, I think, in a really beneficial way by the Bayshore acquisition this year of Crown One. So very proud of what we've done this year. And thank you, everybody, for making it out here, especially during the snowstorm. So, yes, Adam's 3 for 3. I think next year I may bet the other way. I don't know. 3 times you're out. So I don't know. And then off to Adam for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Anthony. So super quick because I want to do Q&A. But, look, again, I want to bore you. Our M&A strategy hasn't changed since the first day I started communicating it to you. So, we have this one-stop shop. Again, we tell you what we're going to do, and we just do what we say. Acquisitions, as we get bigger, obviously the acquisitions will get bigger. We've done a number, even in my past life, a number of acquisitions, and I find, ironically, the smaller the acquisition, the harder it is to integrate. So we'll grow with it. And then our deli strategy, our M&A strategy in the deli space with existing manufacturing. And then the third one, actually, Chris and I spoke after he sent me a love note after the storm. Hey, Adam, you get off your butt and find me something not on the East Coast. So I'm working on that. But yeah. Look, key things to measure success. Again, and again, I'm not even going to apologize. I hope this happens. I hope you guys are just getting so bored because Adam just says the same thing over and over and over again. So the same metrics that we've been tracking this whole time. What gets measured gets improved, right? So all the work that Chris is doing around increasing AIC, getting to new customers, all the work that Lauren's doing on increasing the ROAS, the return on advertising spend at these players, the work Skip is doing to drive more and more efficiency throughout the plant network, all the work Anthony's doing to manage SG&A so well. These are all the things that we're putting together. So with that, I will open up for questions. You get extra credit for not asking me and putting, Lauren or Chris or, Skip on the spot. But Mitch?
So you're rolling out a new item on Indeed to potential store customers. When the customers are evaluating, are you giving them any data to help them evaluate, or they're just doing a taste test and they're deciding to try it in a small number of locations before they roll it out? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so I'm going to tag team. So first the question is, and I'm going to have Chris answer it. The question is, when we go to a new customer, how do we help? How do we sell that in, right? Do we share information about the product maybe at another customer, or why, Lauren, why we did consumer insights work to say that this flavor is better? Chris, how do you sell, Chris, is the succinct question that Mitch is asking.
If I tell you that, I have to kill you. I mean, it's like this top secret stuff. No, it's multifaceted, and sometimes it's a little bit situational, depending on what you're hearing or what I'm hearing or listening to the customer express. In part, it comes from the data we have from existing customers. So we know we're never going to share proprietary type data, but we can rank products, we can rank flavors. But it's also tapping into things like, the Food Marketing Institute or IDDBA and the other data that we pull about what is the consumer is looking for and where the trends are going. So we'll utilize that as well, if that's the tone of the conversation. But some of it's a little bit of judging what the customer needs to hear and how our product is going to solve maybe their angst a little bit. What I'm seeing a lot out there is people being charged with moving forward their fresh business, moving forward prepared foods, and that hasn't necessarily been where their history has existed in their role. So they're just looking for somebody to come and say, hey, how do I get this done? What should I be looking for? And so that's where we're reaching back into a lot of industry data as well.
Cool. Sir.
Sort of related to the question on selling, the idea of portfolio selling versus single item is intuitive, but it sort of seems obvious. Like, why weren't we doing that previously? Like, what changes in the sales motion to make that happen?
Yep. So the question for Chris, well done, guys. You're doing really well. You're 2 for 2. The question was, of course, everyone's going to say they want to sell in a portfolio, not a single item. Why is that winning, I guess, is your question?
Why wasn't that happening?
Why wasn't that happening before?
Yeah.
Well, I think in part, that's a great question, actually. But in part, that is because we didn't quite have the breadth of items. So when you think about what we did in Fiscal 26 and what we're continuing to do now is develop out these items to where it is more a hand-in-hand portfolio. So if I'm selling into a customer and they're saying, hey, I really love, the star of the show is always our chicken breast or our beef meatball. I mean, that's always just the star of the show. But it's like, hey, you need a category play here. So if you bring in shredded chicken, if we bring, let us sample the shredded chicken to you, let us sample chicken strips to you. Oh, by the way, we've got this stuffed chicken meatball, and you can start to build out a total solution for your customer. That's always helpful in the selling process, and it's yielded some good results for us. But probably the biggest reason we didn't sell more portfolio-wise in the past was we had a more limited portfolio in a lot of ways than what we have to work with today.
Yeah, I would actually add, I think what Chris said is just really powerful, and it's even bigger than the sales question you asked. Our success begets success. So Chris is absolutely right. We didn't have anything else to offer except a meatball. I could either give you a meatball or I got nothing for you. The same is the case, I always have positive intent for before this leadership team came. I would have loved to have bought a shredder. I couldn't afford it. I wasn't making any money, right, before we all got here. So now I actually have equipment I could buy. Hey, why didn't you hire, Alberto, a head of procurement? Why? Well, I didn't have any money. So, right. So before we all got here, we had no money. So I'm sure the team might have thought to think procurement's kind of important in this industry. So what's really great, and I truly believe this, is like the better we do, the faster we're getting even better. It truly is. It's the acceleration, right? The difference between, again, my son would be proud of me, acceleration versus velocity. Our acceleration is going up. The speed at which we're growing is actually going up because we have the products, we have the customers, we have the equipment, we have the people. And that's what's so exciting and why I truly believe you ain't seen nothing yet.
Hey, Adam, there's another, aspect that I want to piggyback on. 100% right there, but it's also, when I was referring to grandma quality service, in the past, we had a very tiny sales team, and everything was done through brokers. And again, I'm not negating brokers in any way. Those are very important relationships. But oftentimes in that selling environment, there's a cutting on chicken breasts at Albertsons. I'm just kind of making that up. And the broker says, hey, send me your sample. Versus when you have the developing relationships that we have as well, you get the understanding of what are you looking for in totality? What is your strategic need? And now I can come to you with 5 or 6 items and present. It's not about a cutting where I'm just sitting against a competitor. So we have a lot more meetings now there's no competitor in the room. There's nobody cutting against us. We're having a strategic conversation, and then we're being invited to, share all 5 of these items. Let's try them. Let's go forward. I think that's a big differentiator as well.
Yes, sir.
So you have a big budget increase this year, 50% more. And with the mantra of, that which is measured can be improved, like what are specific measurements on the marketing budget increase that people can look to see that it's working, whether you gave the examples of broken bread or my honey or or doubling the retail media spend engaging forming retailers? Like, what are some metrics with that marketing increase that we can engage out to?
Yeah. The question is how we're going to measure the increase in marketing, the effectiveness of the increase in the marketing spend. We're not at a level, and I think I said this in the first investor conference, where we're not quite at the level to do full multivariate marketing model mixes, but where we do measure things such as our retail media, we see the return on ad spend there. And then there are other ways that we can measure the effectiveness, things like looking at our engagement rate on our digital media, for example, things like building our own channels. So last year we doubled our email database and we added 8,000 new SMS subscribers. That's a powerful tool for us because we own that. We own that information. We can have one-on-one conversations with those consumers. So those are ways, things, other indicators like the health of our e-commerce business, which is a function of we do advertising on that as well, on social media as well as email marketing. So open rates also are, we are always looking at our website. I mentioned the site health was improved significantly and in the top tier. So there are a number of different metrics that we look at quantitatively, like the
checklist that you've gone through.
Chris, the question is, what is the opportunity at Costco?
Do I get to put a ceiling on it? No, the opportunity is really probably in the nearer term, everyday status in every region of the country. That's kind of how we approached, getting rotations in. That's how we approached, getting, full acceptance across all the regions so that we could do something like an MBM. And now it's that progress to get everyday status. How many items that could eventually be, Costco runs a limited assortment. So you're probably never looking at, double-digit number of SKUs in there, despite what Adam tells me, right? It says, hey, Chris, you got to do, but always do my best. But it's get everyday status, and then what's the next item you can get everyday status in? Yeah.
Your growth expectation for the year, double-digit revenue growth, can you be more specific at all? Is that organic growth?
What is Jerome telling me the inflation rate's going to be?
Because you're still lapping the period without Crown.
So I believe, again, I want to continue to tell you that we will beat the market. We'll grow market share. I would tell you that double-digit growth is organic growth. So I don't count. So this is really good on the record, right? I don't want to guarantee you. I'm telling you, I do not put pressure on us to acquire a business every single year at all costs. I'm going to pay 50 times revenue because I told you guys I'm going to buy a company. I've told you guys that we build a plan. The plan has 0 inorganic growth in it. I tell the board I have no corporate goals of acquiring a business every year. Personally, I know from my experience across multiple companies that I could digest an acquisition every year, and that tells me that once Skip gives me the okay, I start looking. But that inorganic growth has nothing to do with the algorithm of I'm going to get you double-digit growth. I will never get you double-digit growth because I acquire another business. Is that helpful?
Yeah. When do you get to a point where you start to go after the independent channel more? And what's the path to actually get through to the independent?
Yep, Chris, the question is there opportunity in the independent grocery channel?
Yeah, there's opportunity. The simple question, there's opportunity in every channel, but the volume and the distribution component in the independent grocery channel gets a little bit more challenging. It tends to get a bit more expensive to distribute into independent grocers. For instance, if they don't have their own warehouse facility or you're going through a third party. we have business in that channel today, and it does well for us. So, I would just say there's no channel that I don't have on my list. I wouldn't put it as a top priority on my list today.
You talked about volume growth outpacing sales, and that's great because volume growth is hard to come by, in the broader category. But just curious if you could maybe provide some of the pricing outlook that you have, for the category, because that does obviously imply some potential pricing pressure when the volumes are outperforming the sales growth.
Yep. So the question is, and this will be for Chris, and I could always add, what's our thinking on pricing for the year ahead? Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, right now we want to continue to show great value for our customers. So I would see pricing relatively in line with inflation through the year, but really what we see in the gains that Skip and the operation team brings from an efficiency standpoint and improving our COGS, our better position and stability that we have, relative to the amount of our chicken that we have under contract, all helps us not have to get, kind of crazy and get our growth simply out of inflation. I always like getting growth, a balanced approach in everything we do. So there's got to be that balance between volume and inflation along the way. We got some good inflationary growth last year, but I would anticipate it to be, nothing that's going to outpace, what we expect from a food inflation standpoint.
So I'll just add a couple of the dirtier things to it. So one, reading recently, the markets, not that they know anything, but everyone's thinking that food inflation is going to be actually lower this year than where it's been in the past couple of years. It's certainly not, it's going to be above zero, but it's certainly going to slow versus where it's been. So that's just one piece of information. Second one is and again, also Chris gets to disagree with anything I'm about to say, so he's the boss. Two, I like where our margins are roughly now. So the good news is we're in the right place. When we all started 3 years ago, nothing was in the right place. So that leads me to point 3, which is if we will keep up with inflation, like Chris said, we're in a good place. We don't have to push any harder. Skip has done an amazing job with managing our chicken. Commodities are the biggest driver of why we would need to price. Chicken, we're in a very good place from a contracting standpoint. I think chicken is, relatively stable. It's going to go up in the summer like it does for the past 250 years of this country, and then go down. But I think we're in a good place. Beef, as you all know, because it's on the front page of every paper in America, is a little bit silly right now, right? I do not believe that's going to come down anytime soon. But Chris and his team are working to make sure that we're at the right price. And then, again, if you told me that there's no inflation whatsoever on any of our products this year, I would tell you there's really no need for us to price this year. But we're just going to keep up. We feel we are proud of our products. I think we do good work. I know we're all very frugal. And, obviously if inflation goes up, we have to, you see it right along with us. No.
Walmart,
probably
the products at Walmart, is that across the country or is that the region?
So, Chris, the question, and I'm going to combine it with the question Ryan has because I'm telepathic. The question was the new items, how many stores is that in Walmart? And the second question from Ryan, not from Adam, is, Chris, why are you no good at your job and why are you not in all 5,000 stores immediately? Obviously, I added a little artistic color to that. But the question is, could we, is 2,000 the cap, or could we be in 5,000 stores was the question from Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know what the cap would be. We certainly could be in more than 2,000. So again, I would use that approximate number. I think in total, we're in 2,150-ish stores today. It goes up constantly, but there's a mix of items in there. So on average, it'll be 2,000 stores. It tends to be the stores that have the best opportunity from a Walmart perspective from a fresh perspective and from deli. So if you think about their stores, super Walmarts versus regular Walmarts, that type of thing, that dictates it. But yeah, there's potential for more stores. There's more stores that have deli operations and food operations.
Cool. Barbara?
Yeah, so Lauren, on marketing, you said that the number one driver of trial is the brand I trust. But to trust the brand, you have to know the brand. I just would like to hear a little bit more about what really works to get customer trial in different markets, or rather in different channels. And related to that, you do some private brands that people do trust. And just how are you thinking about that part of the business as well?
Sure. So the question is, how do we build awareness and trust with our products, and then how do we approach private brands? So a couple of things. I mean, we use different marketing levers depending on who the customer is, what the items are. So for example, with Costco, one of their big vehicles in general, for the retailer is in-store demos, sampling, and we participate heavily in that as well. So that's an area where we're building that awareness with the consumer, and it's clearly working for us, as Chris mentioned, in terms of the growth that we've seen in Costco, especially as we go into new regions, and getting those samples out to consumers really builds that familiarity and the trust. And then, with other things like the retail media, again, what we're doing is we're making sure that we show up when people are searching for any relevant keywords. So they're seeing the familiar, seeing our brand and becoming familiar with it, adding it to their cart, hopefully, through the different platforms. From a private brand perspective, we are doing things with private brands. We are doing advertising to support that because ultimately, it is our product. So we still do search marketing on certain private brands where it makes sense. Things like, where we have product at Walmart. It also depends a lot on the retailer and where they are in their marketing, digital ecosystem. So there are some retailers that are more sophisticated than others. So a Walmart, for example, very sophisticated in terms of what they're doing to reach consumers and shoppers. And so we're able to work in that space very easily versus there's some other customers that aren't. We advertise across multiple search retailer media platforms, either their own or with the big retailers or other third-party platforms that have a number of different grocers. So we actually advertise, I don't know the total number, but we're across any customer that is on a platform, we're doing some sort of campaign with them.
So coming out of the T&L Creative Salads integration, you had an M&A playbook, and then now you applied that to Crown One, and you have a new playbook. Can you just kind of talk about the evolution you had in that M&A playbook, whether it be integration of operations or finance, or just kind of what you've learned from acquisition to acquisition?
Yeah, so the question is kind of what's the evolution of the M&A playbook? So the first is, I borrowed with pride the work I did for 5 years before at Mondelez. So I promise you I brought, my M&A playbook with me. There was great learnings. Actually, we're doing it right now with the NetSuite integration. So when we did at NetSuite, ERP is part of that M&A playbook. It's a very thick playbook. And I'll tell you, we didn't do it right. And that's my fault the first time with Creative Salads. We did not, for one instance, train the trainer enough. We pushed the ERP onto Creative Salads, and that didn't work. And it caused a lot of, it made it more difficult than it was. So actually, and I'll combine the two. The other thing is we didn't have, an expert, an ERP expert running the implementation. We have now John leads all of our IT efforts. He's done ERP implementations about 850,000 times. We have, and Anthony and I, and Skip and others meet with John every week now. There's Gantt charts upon Gantt charts around all the training that we're doing. Actually, on the steering committee, are the folks from Crown, right? Because we're not doing it to them, we're doing it with them. So that's one example. There's not enough time in the day to talk about all the things that I failed at, but every time we do it, it gets better and better. But, I could give you 10 of those. Just one more question, another question from Ryan, for Chris. Chris is the winner today. How much white space remains with these top 10 customers?
How much white space with the top 10 customers? It would be almost impossible for me to put a number on that. So I would say when you think about Walmart and 8 items in there, that's a lot of items for them to allow to be in by one supplier in that deli space. So, I would say it's more about growing the velocity of the items that we put in there, making sure we get a good rotation of new items, things like that in there. When you get to some of our customers, we may only have 3 or 2 items in. That white space gets very, very large. I'll give you an example. We've got a customer who will be a top 10 customer that, the very next meeting I have is with them. They have 5 items branded today, and they want to expand that and by a significant number, and we've just gotten started. So when you start looking at that, you go, I don't know, it could be 2x white space with our top 10. It could be 5x in some cases, and others might be, approaching a little bit of maturity when you think about just SKU count. So I know that's not a good answer. Analysts always like to, all you guys in your roles, right? You want to hear a definitive number. It's still a lot of white space. That's what I could certainly put out there.
And Chris, tell me if this makes sense to you, just a couple of metrics, right? That are facts. We know the category, prepared foods, is a $40 billion category, right? Even at $1 billion, what is that? 2.5%. A 2 share. I mean, we used to have a 50 share in the cookie space. Like a 2 share is nothing, right? So that's, 40 billion. Billion's only a 2 share. Where Chris used to work, multi-billion. So it's not unheard of. There are multi-billion players, right? Boar's Head, Reese's. These are multi-billion-dollar players. So again, I agree with Chris. I know everyone wants a particular number. I don't know how we could do that. But what I could tell you from a triangulation standpoint is there are billion-dollar players in our space. That still puts you at a pathetically low market share. And again, Chris and team are just getting started. Yes.
Question for Anthony. I think you had said mid-teens EBITDA margin.
Yes.
Is there like a revenue number you need to hit in order to get that? And what do you think about the opportunity for incremental margins or contribution margins on
Just repeat
dollar of revenue growth?
So obviously,
Please repeat the question.
so the question was, what's the opportunity to get that EBITDA margin up? And keep it in that teens percentage range, and what's the lever there? The main lever, I would say, is margin optimization, and bring gross margin optimization and bringing that up. So using the levers that we talked about there, looking at promo and marketing. The biggest one always is top line sales, and they have to be profitable sales. We make sure of that. Chris makes sure of that when he's pricing the product out. Those are our 2 biggest levers. And as we bring in organizations, it's just leverage. The more that you can spread the costs around to more entities and to more sales, the higher your EBITDA, your net income is going to go up, and your EBITDA is going to go up in turn as well.
Yeah, I'd specifically add, and Anthony's the boss here, we have been reinvesting all of our profit over the past 3 years into building this team, right? When there was no Lauren when I started, right? There was no Skip, there was no Chris, there was no Chris's team, right? You saw Chris's team, which is amazing. We had 1 salesperson total when I started. So every year you have seen Anthony has done an amazing job. Our SG&A as a percentage has really not gone up. It stays around 20%. That's amazing focus and fortitude when everyone comes to him every day saying, I need more, I need more, I need more. We have probably another year or so where we're adding, right? We said this year, I'm done. right? Our leadership team is awesome, right? I don't need to hire anybody else. But we said we're going to build a middle management team this year. I really think after this year, we're sort of done building the team we need. That means every incremental year, SG&A only goes down, right? As a percentage, only goes down. And therefore, EBITDA is 1 for 1, right? It only goes up. So we've been intentional to build the team of the future. Once we have done that, and I think another year we'll be pretty close to done, then every incremental dollar goes up. So, and again, I look at you guys as partners. I hope you agree that the investments we're making, and you see these people around the room, is a good use of our dollars. If I wanted just to fake it, right? I don't need to hire anybody. I can make EBITDA go up, but we don't have a strong foundation. And then what's the sense of that? So I hope you guys agree with the investments.
Just to put a finer point on that, I think the mid-teens number is a number that many of us were not expecting for next year. So, because you previously talked about mid-teens as like an aspirational, like once we scale. So by putting mid-teens out there, you're basically
I think we said, to make sure we look at it, I think we said we'd end.
Yeah, and it's gonna glide. It's not gonna start at that point, definitely.
Right.
It's going to glide to get
in
to
the
that.
year in the mid-teens.
Okay, so not mid-teens for the full FY 27. Well, because I'm just asking because it's financial targets for FY 27. We're at the top of the slide.
Yeah, I would love to say we could go back and take a look. Again, I think we're going to go through the year with, again, mid-teens. Maybe it's the low end. I think we're in that range.
I mean,
the low double digits, and it'll ramp.
I'm happy for you guys to say, again, all I do for the past 3 years is under promise and over deliver. So I'm happy to say we will be leaving the year in the mid-teens, and then.
All right, that's helpful.
Over deliver for you.
But for the few large retailers who don't have a huge presence with yet, what's their main pushback or what's their resistance level to them?
Chris, the question is for the customers that we're not in, do they give us a reason? For the customers we're not in, why are we not in them?
It's not so much pushback as it is just the bureaucracy of a large business. I can't explain this enough because I came from that side of the world through most of my career, and it is challenging to get the first step. It's always the first item. One of them out there we've been to, I've personally leveraged relationships and we've shown a ton of samples, and it's always, man, your product's the best. We're excited. We'll get back to you type of thing. So for me, it's going to be persistence, and oftentimes it's right timing. Some of the big customers that we still look at out there that we could get, they've had a lot of distraction in the last year or two. So you can kind of put the math together a little bit, who I might be talking about. And in that distraction tends to be people that move positions and suddenly have different responsibilities. And we've seen ourselves get caught up in that a little bit. So a little bit excuse oriented there, but to me, it's still just persistence. It's not that we don't have the right items. It's not that our items aren't great. We have gotten pushback in the past on pricing to some degree. And that is just more us staying. I don't mind that. I'll lose the sale every time if it's simply going to be about price, because I'm going to get another opportunity on that one when they get disappointed by a lesser product.
Yep, totally agree. Yes, sir.
Yeah, focusing on the NAE chicken product line, are you pushing that as a replacement for the rest of chicken products at some retailers, or is that kind of incremental to products you already have at retailers?
Chris, you want to take it? The question is, are we doing NAE for, I know the answer, but are we doing NAE for all customers, or is it just for new items, or we're transitioning all of our items to NAE?
No, we're transitioning all our items to NAE. It's just who we're going to be. It's just like the way we choose to flame grill and our chicken and do it to the highest level of quality. That's how we're viewing NAE. It's just who we are. So it doesn't require if you're thinking about it this way, it's a new item or we have to resell into the customer. No, absolutely not. It's, hey, you're buying our chicken. By the way, it's all NAE now.
right, there's nothing bad, like in the sense that, again, we don't have to change the SKU number or, it's one of those things. If it doesn't say NAE, but we accidentally make it NAE, that's absolutely fine. So it's only a benefit. There are some customers that will buy it because it's NAE. There's some customers that will want it more. Equally, there's some customers that don't care as much, but we know it's better and we're still going to sell it.
And as a result of that, how much more expensive is any chicken versus the?
So the question is, how much more expensive is any chicken? So I could answer that in two ways. One, it's roughly 10, 15 cents necessarily more. I mean, you could check the same information on, on the Urner Barry stuff, is what it is on the market if you buy it in the spot. Because of our scale now, because we were able to contract in advance, that helped us a lot. No.
Highlighted that you're getting some everyday item status in the Northeast store in 27.
Yes.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. That's sounds like it's a big deal, but what does that mean?
Since it's a softball question, because I only give Chris the hard ones, I'll answer that. The question is, what is Costco NAE? What is Costco everyday item? That means carry the one. It's every day. It's in Costco. So Costco traditionally is a rotation program, right? The treasure hunt mentality. Most items at Costco actually rotate in and out. There's a very small subset. You know how Chris said already, the club channel has a smaller set of items, assortment. There's even fewer that are an everyday item, and Chris and team and Scott got us everyday status at Costco in the Northeast.
The items that you have there, or
No, just the beef meatballs, jumbo beef meatballs.
So what's the numbers though?
What number?
For having an everyday item? Just like the revenue opportunity with an everyday. I mean,
You could totally be a research analyst.
I just think you've gone from 1 to 10 to 30.
Yes.
And then now that you have every day, like what's?
I think it's great. I'm very optimistic. Jacob.
Yeah, going back
Let's go into politics. Yeah.
Going back to the M&A topic, you obviously focus on adding incremental customers, capabilities, categories, all that good stuff. I'm curious if you could dive deeper into the capabilities aspect.
Yeah.
Where is your priority there? I guess maybe ask differently. Where do you feel like you're underdeveloped today that's kind of necessary to help your business scale over time?
Yep. So the question is, from an M&A perspective, you keep talking about capabilities, Adam. What the heck are you talking about? So it really could be anything. So when I think about M&A, I'm sincere when I tell you I don't care about the revenue and the profit. That just comes along with it. But if it could get me into a customer, right? Wegmans and the customer that, shall not be named. We tried forever. We couldn't even get a call returned to us. Magically, they called Chris, the next week. Getting into a new customer is pretty awesome. Getting into new items that maybe we don't make today, right? New technology, whether it's, HPPing or map technology, those are examples where are there things that we could learn from other customers? Stuff like Skip was talking about, industrial engineering, like capabilities. I would be thrilled to have someone, even more hardcore on the data than I am, right? On the way they track things, the way they measure throughputs. How do we learn from one plant to the other? Skip does an amazing job on his leadership team that we're one team. Any given day, a product can be anywhere. That means you better be sharing with each other because we're all family here on what are you learning? There's a super cool guy, Lenny, that, he's hardcore, right? He's tracking throughput every single day. He sees me in his Excel sheet. He gets, excited or nervous depending on the numbers. But now he's taking on a broader role because, look, if we're doing this in Farmingdale, let's do this in Bayshore also. Let's do this in East Rutherford also. And we're sharing that information. So capabilities to me can be anything that, again, we could use across the network. The fact that where do we learn? I mean, not that it's rocket science, but NAE, guess where we learned that from? Crown. Crown was NAE with everything that we do at Wegmans is NAE. Oh, wait a minute. maybe we should do this broader. Maybe customers would be really interested in it. Maybe this could be a differentiator for this. That's why we're looking at M&A. It just so happens that it comes with $56 million at 0.3 times revenue, very profitable.
Sorry, one more on Costco. Once they go into the everyday item status, do they not do the digital MDM anymore, or do they do one or the other? Or?
No, I believe, Chris, for Costco, just because we're an everyday item, that's not to say that we couldn't do any sort of promotions or tastings, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct, Chris?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We can do other promotions, other rotations. We can still conduct an MBM even on that item, if they want to do that nationally into some regions that aren't every day.
Their commitment to the everyday item, like how long, once you become an everyday item, is there a life to that?
Oh, you're just a hater today, aren't you?
Is that for me?
Become an everyday item. Look, we have to keep up great quality and great service. I have no doubts, and I would actively do it myself. Yeah, if we actually have a cruddy product or we don't actually deliver, I'm sure they could take away everyday status. Yeah, and I would take it away myself because I want to keep getting better. Like Chris mentioned, and I think it really was an amazing partnership between Chris and Skip. Yeah, we sold it in, but heck, at best, that's only 50% of the challenge. Can you actually deliver on it? So I am super proud, just like Chris said, right? First, you start with grandma quality products, but what really keeps you is grandma quality service. That service is sales service, customer service, supply service, etc.
Given the attractiveness of the category, is there anything else happening in the landscape, the competitive landscape, that we may not have seen, outside of Crown, private equity space, or any changes you've seen, broadly speaking?
Question is anything from a macroeconomic standpoint on the deli space, prepared food space. I would say, if anything, it's only getting better. I truly believe it's really getting accelerated by customers. Customers are seeing it. Customers are investing in more and more linear feet of shelf space, refrigerated shelf space. It's not one of those things that you just take out the next week, right? They have to invest in it as well. So I feel great about that. I don't feel great that the economy is not as awesome as it could be for everybody, and that means people aren't going out as much. Inflation, I'm not happy about this, but inflation is 2x, 4%, right? Away from home inflation is 4%, at home inflation is 2.1%. It's 2x. Again, this goes back to the acceleration point. It's getting more expensive to eat out. Again, I'm not happy about that for my 330 million friends in America, but it does help our business.
But no other strategic M&A transactions in the last 12 months.
Again, it's an interesting dynamic. We're the only publicly traded company out there. It is still a massively fragmented space. It's I feel good. Yeah. Yes, George.
A couple more for you. The mapping technology.
If I get past 3 o'clock, I get double pay today.
The mapping technology.
Yes, sir.
What is that? Is that a big deal over the next few years? And of your products right now, is it a pretty small part of the mix? And how should we think about that growing over there?
So the question is just the opportunities for mapping. I think there's more and more opportunities, right? It increases shelf life. I don't know the exact number of our business, but it's getting to be a lot. We map a lot in Bayshore. All of our MFOs in East Rutherford are mapped. I'd love to continue to do it. Again, it's a natural way, right? There's just nitrogen gas. It's a natural way to extend shelf life that helps our customers. And by helping our customers, that means they're going to buy more from us. So I'd love to do even more of that. We have, it's pretty cool. Here, this goes back, Jacob, to your question on capabilities. We took 400 years when I got here to, should we get our first mapping machine, which you guys saw today, right? And then we just fell into Crown and they had 4. Oops, that's pretty cool. So, there's more opportunity. There's more room. Like Skip was saying, you could play, soccer or football, pick your country. in some of the spaces at Bayshore, we have a lot of room to grow and add more equipment into if that's what we choose to do.
One other one, Sam's Club. How should we think about this year? You've had so much success there. The momentum, feeling good about it, new product, addition, like anything you can.
Yep. Chris, the question is, hey, what are you doing at Sam's Club?
So Sam's Club is like our other top customers. We're looking for additional SKUs in there. We've had some things rotate in and out. Sam's Club itself, I want to express a little bit of just caution of all the marbles in one place at some time. So we want to make sure that we keep it a proportional part of our business as well. But we've got a great relationship there. Our chicken, so they have a policy. Basically, you can't be the single supplier relative to what we do there. But so there's another supplier in there that supplies grilled chicken to them. Our performance is, I don't know, Adam, is it like 3x what the other supplier is? So they love us as far as year over year type of sales. The customer keeps telling us we're the best product. And our sales continue to grow, even sometimes when we try our darndest to kind of have it grow a little bit slower, they just grow. So we're in a good spot. We do want to get some, strategically, I want to get some additional SKUs in there.
Good.
What does PP&E CapEx look like for fiscal year 27?
Yeah, so I think, and Anthony's the boss here, again, roughly we spend, again, most importantly, you don't spend anything we don't have. So you could look at our cash flow from operations and that will tell you roughly how much, we're not going to spend more than that. Spending 5, 7, definitely not double-digit millions of dollars is more than enough for what we want to do. So I'd factor in mid to high single digits. Are you guys out? Let's see if any other questions. Okay. Well, if that's it, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everyone making it out here, listening on the call. Luke and I are always available if there's additional questions. George or anyone else or Noah has. I'm available 24/7. But sincerely, I am so incredibly proud of this team, and you're seeing only a tenth of the team. This is what I am proudest of. This is what we have built that is not going away, and really excited to share with you more what we accomplished this year and the years ahead. So thank you, everybody.